Starting this week, employers will be required to provide outdoor workers with at least 20 minutes of rest every 2 hours when the perceived temperature reaches 33 degrees Celsius or higher, following a series of heat-related worker deaths.
이번 주부터 체감 온도가 33도 이상인 날씨일 때 야외 근무를 하는 근로자들은 2시간마다 20분 이상의 휴식 시간을 보장받게 됩니다. 이는 최근 폭염으로 인한 근로자 사망 사례가 잇따른 데 따른 조치입니다.
Yeah, so this is under the Labor Department's Regulatory Reform Committee. So they've issued, and it's almost an about face, a 180 from a recommendation they gave a couple of months ago because small and medium-sized businesses could be hurt by this regulation. But because of these recent incidents of workers dying, because of the heat wave, what they've done is they've recommended and approved this new regulation that says, like the headline suggests, that workers must rest every 2 hours for at least 20 minutes. And these are workers, anyone that works outside. The first one that comes to mind is construction workers, right?
Exactly. It's sad that it has to come to this.
Yeah.
That we have to have had deaths occurring before these measures are made. It would have been better, of course, to have preventative measures. But nonetheless, it is something that is going to be guaranteed to the people who work outdoors, as you said. What's a perceived temperature, though? I know what a temperature is.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let's go with this. So obviously the temperature is how hot or cold something is. But if something's perceived, it's how it is regarded, how it is felt or recognized. So the perceived temperature is the actual feel of how the current weather conditions are. And another word for that is the apparent temperature. There's a more casual term. There's the feels like temperature.
Okay.
And there's one actual website that uses the term real feel temperature. And I believe I believe that one is a copyrighted term.
Is it?
That they use. So there are
Can
many
you tell
ways.
us where they use that expression?
AccuWeather.
AccuWeather.
Yeah,
okay.
AccuWeather uses real feel temperature, but you can call it feels like temperature or apparent temperature. Perceived temperature could be a sort of a literal translation of 체감 온도, right? But it is taking into account things like not just temperature, but humidity, wind speeds, etc.
Exactly. So in Korean, we just have one word for this, 체감 온도.
Right.
But in English, there are so many different ways of saying it. And AccuWeather uses the patented term real feel. Different organizations or agencies use different expressions. We can have apparent temperature or feels like 33 degrees. Nonetheless, if it does feel like 33 degrees or hotter than that, then people working outdoors will be guaranteed a break.
Yes, and I'm glad this committee is recommending this because, and they're using apparent temperature because sometimes, there are guidelines with air conditioning temperature settings where they say in the summertime you should set it between 26 and 28 degrees when the certain temperature is this, but the temperature gauge, the mercury, the thermometer could read, let's say 30 degrees, but it could actually feel much hotter.
Yeah.
So I understand they need to put out guidelines, but for the safety of all, I think this is a good thing.
Yeah, especially if you're
business
working...
owners might disagree though.
Right, because it's going to make the efficiency of the whole work process go down. But if you're working with, tools that are hot, if you're working with fire, then obviously it's going to feel hotter than it is outdoors.
And the heat radiating from the cement that comes up also makes it much hotter as well. Right?
맞아요. 자, 온도는 temperature. 그다음에 체감 온도 여기서는 perceived temperature라는 표현을 쓰고 있습니다. Perceived. 하나만 더 하면은 우리 체온, body temperature.
Body temperature,
그렇죠?
right?
네.
Yeah. So these people are what this committee is doing is they're requiring, right?
Right.
They're requiring businesses to follow this recommendation. And of course, if you're required to do something, you're obligated.
You have to.
You're mandated, usually because of the rule or a law or other sort of authority that's telling you to do this.
That's right. Every morning we are required to stand up and salute our producer and say, 안녕하십니까.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
And bring it.
But be required to do something means you have to do something. You are 이렇게 할 의무가 있는 거죠.
Yes.
해야 하는 것이.
It's not optional.
That's right. You can't say, shall I do this or not? No. If you're required to do something, you have to do it. 그래서 뭐뭐를 해야 할 때 be required, required, to do something. 자, 그러면 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. Starting this week, employers will be required to provide outdoor workers with at least 20 minutes of rest every 2 hours when the perceived temperature reaches 33 degrees Celsius or higher following a series of heat-related worker deaths. Here's our next headline.
The UNESCO World Heritage Committee has inscribed Korea's petroglyphs along the Pangucheon Stream in Ulsan, a collection of prehistoric rock carvings depicting animals and hunting scenes, as a World Heritage Site.
울산 울주군의 반구천 암각화가 유네스코 세계유산으로 등재됐습니다. 이 암각화는 바위에 동물과 사냥 장면을 새겨놓은 선사시대 그림입니다.
Yeah.
I know we have listeners from Ulsan, so maybe you've walked nearby. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so the committee actually described it like this. They called it the realistic depictions and distinctive compositions based on keen observation highlight the artistic skills of the people who once inhabited the Korean peninsula as their reason for putting this site on the World Heritage List.
Yeah.
With this latest edition, South Korea now has 17 total entries. But also over the weekend, just as a side note, North Korea's Kumgangsan was also included on the World Heritage Site. So North Korea, I believe, has 3 sites, so that's a total of 20. But other World Heritage on the Korean Peninsula.
On the Korean Peninsula.
In total, exactly.
Yeah,
but
okay.
other World Heritage Sites, in case you're wondering, 석굴암, 해인사, 종묘, and 창덕궁 are all part of that list.
그래요. 이번 반구천 암각화가 우리나라 17번째 유네스코 세계유산이 됐습니다. 물론 이제 북한에도 뭐 한 3개 정도가 있어서 전체적으로 한반도에서는 한 20개 정도라고 볼 수 있겠지만 이제 우리나라만 보게 되면은 17번째입니다. All right, so when we talk about the World Heritage List, you say you're inscribed on it.
Yeah, so when something's inscribed, it means literally you're writing or you're carving something into something permanently. So you're put on this list.
Right.
And so it's interesting because the actual petroglyphs are also inscriptions on the walls as well.
Yeah.
So there's 2 sort of inscribes here. But carving and depicting these sort on this list, you're inscribed on this list, which is an interesting way to say it because it is a permanent list. And I think that's why you use the word inscribed.
You know, when we have the Oscars or some sort of film festival, they give you a trophy,
Sure.
the Oscar, right? And I believe they inscribe your name and they say Shane Ham awarded for Best Actor or something like that, right?
Yeah, I think what they do is they give it to you. When they give it to you, it's blank, but they will
really?
inscribe it later because if you inscribe it beforehand, then the winner will leak. Right?
That makes sense.
Another example, it's interesting because in sports, when
Yeah.
there's a championship trophy and it seems like somebody is going to win very soon, they show you that the carver starts inscribing the name onto the trophy before the
Really?
game's even over sometimes.
Oh,
But
that's
in
really
any case,
interesting. 네, 이렇게 트로피 같은 데다가 이름을 새기는 것도 inscribing이라고 하고요. 이런 유네스코 리스트에 등재되는 것도 inscribing이라고 합니다. 그래서 여기서 뭐라고 했냐면 The UNESCO World Heritage Committee has inscribed 반구천 petroglyphs as a World Heritage Site.
Right. And I think that we should explain what a petroglyph is
Oh, yeah,
too,
what's
right?
that?
Petro, if you break it down, is a prefix meaning rock or stone.
Okay.
And a glyph would be a carving or an engraving something. So petroglyph would be an engraving inside rock. Another glyph that's famous is hieroglyphics,
Yes.
right? In Egypt, which are sort of depictions of pictures at the time. So those are engravings as well.
맞습니다. Glyph, glyph, refers to these pictures or carvings. It could be writing as well, I guess.
Sure.
Petro means rocks,
Yes.
basically. 그래서 이 바위에다가 새겨놓은 그림이죠. 암석 조각. 이런 것들을 이제 petroglyph라고 합니다. 우리말로는 암각화라고 하고 있죠. And to depict something?
Yeah, when you depict, D-E-P-I-C-T, you're showing or representing something, usually in the form of a drawing or a painting or other art form. You're portraying something, right?
Yeah, exactly. To depict something, 묘사하다. You could literally draw something and depict it, or you can talk about something and depict how your weekend was.
Yes.
So 말로도 묘사할 수 있고 글로도 그림으로도 묘사를 할 수 있겠죠. DEPICT. 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. The UNESCO World Heritage Committee has inscribed Korea's petroglyphs along the Pangucheon stream in Ulsan, a collection of prehistoric rock carvings depicting animals and hunting scenes, as a World Heritage Site.
A massive iceberg drifting dangerously close to the small Greenland settlement of Inarsut has prompted local authorities to issue a warning as residents brace for a potential collision near their homes.
그린란드의 이나르스위트 마을에 초대형 빙산이 위험한 거리까지 접근하자 지역 당국이 경계령을 발령한 가운데 현재 주민들은 주거지 인근 충돌 가능성에 대비하고 있는 상황입니다. How dangerously close are we talking about?
Yeah, I've seen pictures of this. It's actually very close. A stone's throw away, almost, as they usually say.
Yeah, well, that's a figurative expression.
Figuratively.
Do we have a distance?
But also literally. I don't have an exact distance because it's slowly actually getting closer and closer. It's drifting.
Okay.
And what the danger is that not the actual collision, but what happens is as it gets closer to land, it starts melting and pieces of the iceberg fall off and it creates large waves. So anyone living or near a coastal area could be swept away through these waves. So
I'm seeing some of the pictures right now because it's on the internet. If you search for it, it's quite easy to find. It looks like this iceberg is about to swallow this tiny little red house at the edge of this cliff, is it? I don't know what this is. An island? Yeah. So it's massive and it's so close.
Yes.
My goodness.
Yeah, and it's not the first time that such a thing has happened in Greenland, but you're right. I think Inarsut is an island on the western part of Greenland. It's a municipality there, but it could be a sign of the times. I guess if you live in Greenland, you're surrounded by icebergs anyway.
Yeah.
But also with icebergs, we've talked about the glaciers melting and climate change and global warming. Who knows if that's part of this?
Yes, absolutely. All right, so these icebergs, it's not just one, several, I think.
Yeah, there's one big one, but there are a couple there that are drifting.
Yes.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yeah, so if you drift, you're being sort of carried away slowly, either by water or by the wind. You're flowing. You're carried along in a slow movement.
Drifting. 이렇게 움직이는 건데 떠다니면서 움직이는 느낌이라고나 할까요? 뭔가 이제 좀 공기 중에도 떠다닐 수 있고 물 위에 이렇게 아이스버그가 떠다닐 수 있고요.
Right. There's a saying, catch my drift,
Oh,
meaning
yeah.
do you understand what I'm saying? So do you understand the general intent of what I'm trying to say? Not the
Right.
exact words. So the words are sort of drifting in the air.
So as a noun, you use it to say, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Do you understand the flow of things?
Catch my drift.
Yeah, catch my drift.
Yeah, wink, wink. Right.
야, 내가 무슨 말 하는지 알겠어?
Right.
할 때 catch my drift 이렇게 표현할 수도 있어요. 명사로. 근데 여기선 동사입니다. 그래서 drift라는 게 to move really slowly and without any control,
Yeah.
without direction, 그냥 떠돌아다니는 느낌.
Exactly.
drifting. 지금 빙하가 그렇게 움직이고 있겠죠. What about bracing for something?
Yeah, so to brace as a verb would mean to prepare yourself or to get ready for something difficult that's about to happen. If you take a plane, you learn about, in the safety instructions, they tell you the brace position,
Yes.
right? In case there's an emergency, it's where you sort of tuck your head in and you lean forward. And so you're bracing, you're preparing for a possible emergency.
네, brace for something 이렇게 하나의 expression으로 외우시는 게 좋은데요. 뭔가 대비한다라는 뜻이고 안 좋은 일을 대비할 때 우리가 brace for something이라고 보통 합니다. 이게 비유적으로 썼을 때는 마음 준비를 하다 이렇게
Right.
표현할 수 있겠고요. 말 그대로 brace를 한다라는 것은 꽉 껴안는다는 의미가 있어서 비행기 내에서 brace position이라는 것이 제가 알기로는 이제 머리를 완전히 무릎에 뭐라 그럴까요? 90도 내려가지고 무릎에 탁탁해 내리고 그 다음에 팔로 이렇게 부둥켜 앉는 요 자세인 것 같아요.
Yep.
Brace position.
Right.
So if there's a lot of turbulence, if it's in a dangerous situation, then you have to get into the brace position.
Right. Hopefully you never have to do that. But BRACE. Also, as a noun would be something that it's a device that helps you with your body if you're hurt, like a neck brace. Would be a device as a noun, right?
그 뭐라 그러죠? 우리 깁스라 그러나요? 우리말로는?
Yeah, a brace would be. You can. It doesn't have to be with your neck. If you fall or have an injury, usually paramedics will put a neck brace around
맞아요.
you. You can have a leg brace if you injure your knee. It is kind of like it's not a permanent cast like a 깁스, but it is something to secure your body.
So that's another way of using brace, a different meaning. But here we're talking about getting ready for a possible collision with this iceberg because it's so close to the houses along this island in Greenland. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. A massive iceberg drifting dangerously close to the small Greenland settlement of Inasut has prompted local authorities to issue a warning as residents brace for a potential collision near their homes. Here's our next headline.
U.S. retail giant Walmart is recalling approximately 850,000 stainless steel water bottles after reports that the lid can, quote, forcefully eject and hit consumers, causing injuries, including permanent vision loss in 2 cases to date.
미국 대형 유통업체 월마트에서 판매한 스테인리스 보온병이 사용 시 뚜껑이 강력하게 튀어나와 소비자를 맞힐 수 있다는 우려에 따라 업체 측이 이 보온병 85만여 개를 리콜 조치했습니다. 이 현상으로 지금까지 실제 2명의 실명 사례를 포함한 부상자가 발생한 것으로 알려졌습니다.
Yeah, who knew water bottles could be a safety hazard like this? But,
yeah.
But,
What's up with the lid here?
Yeah, so what the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission is saying is that these products, quote, pose serious impact and laceration hazards. So what happens is when these bottles are filled with foods, carbonated beverages, or other perishable items, what happens is, and if it's stored a long time, my guess is that gases form in there. And when you open the lid, all of a sudden, it suddenly pops off. Very forcefully, and it can strike you oftentimes.
Quick question.
Sure.
You said it poses a serious impact and laceration hazards.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what laceration is?
Yeah, a laceration would be a sort of a cut, right?
On the skin.
Yeah, and it's a sort of a minor cut you would call a laceration.
아, 그러니까요. 이게 이제 어떤 위험이 있냐. 임팩트라는 것은 우리가 이제 뭔가 충돌했을 때 임팩트라는 단어를 쓸 수 있고요. laceration은 이제 뭐 베이거나 상처가 나는 걸 말합니다. 그래서 피부에 갑자기 이렇게 팍 뚜껑이 튀어나오면서 부딪혀서 멍이 들 수도 있고 아니면 좀 더 심한 경우에는 이렇게 뭐 베일 수도 있는 이런 위험이 있어서 리콜 조치 취한 거죠. 실제로 너무 무서운데 2 vision loss cases 실명 사례가 있었다고요?
Yes, 2 people suffered vision loss, which another word you can say is blindness. But vision loss is a more general term, I think, because you can have partial vision loss. You can also have partial blindness as well. But any sort of hindering to your vision, you would just call vision loss.
Okay. 그래서 permanent vision loss라는 것은 영구적인 시력 상실이 되겠고 이 뚜껑이 이렇게 튀어나오나 봐요. 이거를 ejecting이라고 표현을 하죠.
Yeah, so if anything's sort of forced or thrown out in a violent sort of way, you're ejected. Think of a pilot in a fighter jet that has to eject from the cockpit if there's an emergency and parachute out. Right?
I was thinking of Tom Cruise when I thought of this word as well. Yeah.
Or a tape player or CD player. You press the eject button.
From way back when.
If you know
People
what that
in their
is.
20s and teens right now going, what's a cassette player?
Yeah, a CD player. What is that?
Grandpa. 아, 그래요. 그쵸. 우리 예전에 이제 카세트 테이프를, 테이프 리코더나 테이프 플레이어에다가 넣게 되면은 나중에 꺼낼 때 이 꺼내는 버튼이 있었어요. 이게 eject 버튼입니다. 그래서 eject, E-J-E-C-T라는 게 이제 나오게 하다, 꺼내다, 튀어나오다 이런 뜻이 있는데 예전에 카세트 테이프는 그렇게 해서 뺐었고 우리가 이제 뭐 톰 크루즈 영화라든지 그런 비행기에서 뭐 전투까지는 아니지만 뭐 이렇게 뭐 싸우고 이러다가 갑자기 파라슈트를 메고 뛰어내릴 때 그때도 ejecting out of the plane이라고 표현을 하죠.
Yes.
네, 그런 거 뛰어내리거나 뭔가 나오는 모습인데 여기서는 스테인리스 보온병의 뚜껑이 이렇게 갑자기 어떻게 그렇게 열리나 봐요?
Yeah, so the use of the word eject here kind of describes the fact that this is a very violent way that this
Yeah.
lid will
그러니까.
pop up and it could hurt you and really cause some serious damage.
저 사실 그림을 봤어요. 근데 이게 뚜껑이 병에 부착이 되어 있는 것도 아니고 다만 아마도 이렇게 좀 에어타이트한 물병이 아닐까. 그래서 이 압력 때문에 뚜껑을 열었을 때 뻥 하면서 이렇게 나오는 건가 하는 생각이 들어요.
Yeah, and considering it's made of stainless steel, sometimes these water bottles can be very heavy too.
Okay.
Yeah.
그래요. 자, 다시 한번 그러면 제가 읽어보겠습니다. US retail giant Walmart is recalling approximately 850,000 stainless steel water bottles after reports that the lid can forcefully eject and hit consumers, causing injuries including permanent vision loss in 2 cases to date. 지금까지라는 뜻의 to date로 끝나고 있습니다. 자, 마지막 헤드라인 가볼게요.
The U.S. Army will no longer grant permanent shaving waivers for skin conditions like razor bumps, a change critics say could disproportionately affect African American troops, as the condition impacts up to 60% of black men and others with curly hair.
미국 육군이 가성 모낭염 등의 피부 질환이 있는 장병들이 지금까지 받아온 면도 면제 관행을 앞으로 중지한다고 발표했습니다. 이 피부 질환은 흑인 남성의 60%와 곱슬머리 소유자들에게 나타나기 때문에 군의 이번 조치로 아프리카계 미국인 장병들이 대거 불편을 겪게 될 것이라는 비판이 나오고 있습니다.
Yeah. So if I can explain,
Yes,
what's
please.
happening here is the U.S. Army has grooming standards. And they're required for all soldiers to abide by these standards,
Sure.
Including facial hair, things like this. But in some cases, they have exceptions, and that would be what a waiver is, right?
Yeah.
In the case that if you have a medical exemption where for medical reasons, sometimes people aren't able to shave as often because it does create or cause skin conditions, things like razor bumps. And I know most men who shave will know what razor bumps are. If you shave too closely or if it gets too sensitive, it gets very itchy and you do get bumps on there. So what the U.S. Army is doing is they're getting rid of this. So they're requiring all soldiers to abide
Shave.
by this.
Yeah.
They must shave now.
Everyone has to shave.
Yeah, and what critics are saying is that this is not fair, especially to African American men who disproportionately they have different skin features
Right.
and they suffer from this condition more commonly.
So to be fair, the rule to make everyone shave itself has nothing to do with race. However, people are saying it is a bit of a discriminatory policy because it will affect a lot of African Americans.
Right. Now, the thing is the Army is still keeping the exemption for religious reasons because some religions require you not to shave as well. So in that case, they're still allowing that. But it's a balancing act between tradition and sort of uniformity versus individual rights. And there are practical reasons why they have this. If you wear a gas mask and if you have facial hair, sometimes it won't seal the gas mask tightly if you have that facial hair. So that's what proponents of this are saying is that's why this sort of standard is needed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's have a look at the word waiver. I hear this a lot when we talk about countries with visa waiver programs. 비자 면제 program. Right. So what's a waiver?
Yeah, a waiver is sort of you're voluntarily relinquishing or surrendering a right or a claim or a privilege.
Yes.
Right?
How do you spell this word?
W-A-I-V-E-R, waiver, right?
면제라는 뜻이 있어요. 그런데 여기서는 이제 shaving에 대한 waiver가 기존에는 있었는데 이제는 그런 이제 면도 면제 우리말로는 발음이 조금 어려울 수 있네요. 둘 다 면으로 시작해서. 근데 이제 면도 면제 조치 아니면 뭐 그런 것들이 더 이상 해당이 되지 않을 거라고 합니다. 일반 군인들에게는. 물론 종교적인 이유 때문에 내가 면도를 못한다 하면은 그때는 좀 봐준대요. 그렇지만 그 외에는 다 면도를 반드시 해야 된다라는 새로운 정책을 미 육군에서 내리고 있다는 겁니다. 그러다 보니까 레이저 범프, 수염 가성 모낭염 있는 분들에게는 이건 그러면 나 너무 불편한데 가렵고 아픈데. 그런데 이제 대부분의 이런 분들은 또 African American이다 보니까 차별이다 이런 얘기가 나오고 있어요. It disproportionately affects African Americans.
Yeah, so if something's proportionate or proportional, it means it corresponds
Yeah.
in size. But if it's disproportionate, it means it's too large or too small in comparison with something else.
That's right. Disproportionately는 비율이 맞지 않는다는 뜻입니다. 불균형적으로 뭐뭐하다, disproportionately. So this affects African Americans more than, let's say, Caucasian Americans.
Right.
그래서 백인보단 흑인에게 더 많이 해당되는 그런 이제 피부 컨디션이기 때문에 그래서 균형이 안 맞는다는 거죠. It disproportionately affects them.
Exactly.
All right. So apparently you might get kicked out in the US Army if you don't shave your beard.
Yep.
Regardless of your skin condition.
Or you can be stationed to another position.
Aha, I see. Well, here's the headline again. The US Army will no longer grant permanent shaving waivers for skin conditions like razor bumps, a change critics say could disproportionately affect African American troops, as the condition impacts up to 60% of black men and others with curly hair. All right, well, that's it for the headlines with Shane.
The Composite Leading Indicator, or CLI, of economic activity for Korea rose for the 7th straight month in June, reaching its highest level in 3 years and 7 months amid easing political uncertainty and expectations of government stimulus, according to OECD data.
경제협력개발기구 OECD에 따르면 지난달 우리나라 경기 선행지수 CLI가 7개월째 상승해 3년 7개월 만에 최고 수준을 나타냈습니다. 이는 정치적 불확실성 완화 및 정부 경기 부양책에 대한 기대감이 형성된 가운데 나온 수치입니다. Alright, so tell us what this CLI indicates.
That's a good place to start because the CLI might be a little unfamiliar in economic news. What it is it stands for the Composite Leading Indicator, and really it's a statistical tool that's used to predict future economic activity. So what's going to happen with the economy in the future, roughly about 6 to 9 months ahead. And it uses data, things like industrial output, GDP, stock prices, consumer confidence, all these pieces of data are put together to come up with this indicator. And for June, Korea came in at 101.08, and that's up slightly from a month earlier. But if you compare that with other OECD countries, Korea ranks second only to the UK. And Korea has been second since March. So it looks like the economy is on the rise in the future, at least according to the CLI.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if this number is above 100, then it's positive. If it's under 100, then it's negative.
Exactly. So the number itself doesn't mean anything, right? It is an index. So 100 is the base. So anything above it is more optimistic, and below it would be pessimistic.
Okay, so that means the OECD thinks that Korea has a more
positive outlook.
or optimistic outlook. So the next half year or so, or more than that, will be, I guess, better for the Korean economy than before?
Hopefully, fingers crossed. But of course, nobody can predict the future. There are other things weighing on Korea's economy, other external things like, of course, U.S. tariffs are on the horizon. August 1st is a big date that everyone is watching out for. So, of course, nobody has a crystal ball, as they say, right? Nobody can predict the future.
Having a crystal ball means that you're one of those fortune tellers and you can look into the future and say, this is going to happen or whatever. But no one has a crystal ball. No one knows for sure.
Right.
Okay. Let's have a look at political uncertainty. It looks like the easing of political uncertainty in Korea was one of the reasons that we saw a more optimistic outlook.
Right. Needless to say, there's been a lot of instability politically here in Korea. But if anything's uncertain, it means that there's doubt, right? It's unpredictable. And when it deals with politics, of course, we're talking about the political system or its policies or just how the situation is, current conditions are politically. So that's what political uncertainty is. We've heard a lot of this in the news here in Korea over the past 6 months.
Uncertainties, 확실하지 않은 것들이에요. 그래서 불확실성이라고 하면 되겠는데, 이제 그런 확실하지 않은 것들이 참 많다. 그러면 there are many uncertainties. 이렇게 얘기를 하겠죠. More specifically, we're looking at 정치적인 불확실성, political uncertainties. We had a lot of that in Korea
Sure.
ever since the end of last year. And yet now there's a lot of easing of the uncertainties because, of course, we have a new government and things are getting more stable.
Right. So there's a sense of stability
Yes,
in the future, right?
그러네요. Instead of uncertainty, we're seeing more stability in the country right now. And also government stimulus plans are helping.
Yeah, so a stimulus would be something that causes a reaction. If something's provoked,
Right.
it encourages activity or boosts something. And from an economic standpoint, economic stimulus usually would be when a government injects or pumps more money into the economy. I believe the current administration did just that. They passed a supplementary budget recently, an extraordinary budget, to try and stimulate the economy, right?
So stimulating in this case, as you said, means to boost the economy. Although stimulating doesn't always mean to boost. But when it comes to economy-related news, we are talking about, things getting better. 그래서 이제 경기 부양책을요, stimulus plans라고 얘기를 할 수 있겠죠. Stimulus policies, maybe. And that's what the government is laying out.
Right, and like you said, a movie can be stimulating. A book
Sure.
can be stimulating if it arouses emotions, right?
Yeah, definitely. The recent racing movie, the F1 movie, was a very stimulating movie.
With Bang Ajashi, right?
Yes, Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
Yes.
I understood that. Good.
I did, yes. Some things I do get.
Okay.
All right. Well,
We're on the same wavelength.
finally,
so,
yes.
yeah.
And by the way, Korea in this particular headline is actually South Korea.
Sure.
Here in Korea, we all know that Korea means South Korea. But when you're talking about Korea elsewhere in the world, you should actually specify whether it's South or North Korea. All right, so here it is again. The composite leading indicator, or CLI, of economic activity for Korea rose for the 7th straight month in June, reaching its highest level in 3 years and 7 months. Amid easing political uncertainty and expectations of government stimulus, according to OECD data. Here's our next headline.
The number of mosquitoes in Seoul has dropped by more than half over the past decade, with experts attributing the sharp decline to extreme heat and a shortened monsoon season, according to statistics from the Seoul Metropolitan Government.
서울시 자료에 따르면 최근 10년 사이 서울의 모기 수가 절반 이상 줄어든 가운데 전문가들은 이와 같은 급격한 감소가 폭염과 짧아진 장마 기간 때문인 것으로 보고 있습니다. So mosquitoes like really damp, humid places. And I
Yes.
guess less rain means less mosquitoes over the years.
Yeah, so what the Seoul government did was they collected mosquitoes. I'd hate to have that job, by the way, but to monitor mosquitoes. And through June, they were able to collect a little over 62,000. And like the headline suggests, that's half of what it is compared to 2015. The main reason experts are saying is the heat. Because mosquitoes just don't like hot weather.
Oh, really?
They actually thrive in temperatures between 25 and 28 degrees Celsius. But of course, recently we know temperatures have been in excess of 30 degrees. They've exceeded 32 degrees recently. So that's one reason. But also the city attributes this decline in pest control technology. They've been using things like drones to access inaccessible areas, places in parks and other areas, of course, with moisture and heat. So I think this is a good sign.
It is a good sign.
I'll be on record to say that I am an animal lover. I do not like mosquitoes, though.
Yeah.
They have no positive effect on humanity.
Yeah, but mosquitoes for me are up there along with cockroaches, animals I detest.
Yes.
I think I can say that.
Yeah.
However, I'm now a little bit worried because overnight we had slightly lower temperatures and a lot of rain in the capital region. Does that mean the mosquitoes are coming back?
Let's hope not.
We don't know.
Time to get those coils out.
The old green coils. Do you use those?
Not indoors anymore.
Right,
Because there are better options these days, right?
Right. Experts have attributed the sharp decline in mosquito population to everything you said.
Yeah, so when you attribute something, you say or think something is caused by something, right? Or belongs to something. If you, let's say, write a thesis or a paper and you cite other sources, you attribute it to other sources.
Yeah. So you attribute a result to a cause.
Right.
You attribute the fall in number of mosquitoes to the hot weather and lack of rain.
Right. So if I win an award and I accept the award and I say thank you to all the people that helped me along the way, I attribute my award. The reason for that is for all my help.
Exactly. Attribute something to something 이런 구조인데요. 이 something과 something이 하나는 결과고 하나는 원인입니다. 자, attribute 결과 to 원인이에요. 그래서 결과를 먼저 말하고 이렇게 하게 된 것은 이 덕분이다. 이것을 원인으로 보고 있다. 이런 얘기가 되겠죠. 그래서 뭐 만약에 상을 탔다 그러면은, I'd like to attribute this momentous occasion to my friend, my family, my whoever, my spouse 이런 식으로요. 자, 그다음에 shortened monsoon season.
Yeah, this one real quickly. If you shorten something, you're making it shorter. The distance is becoming smaller. And the monsoon season is the rainy season, right? Or you call it the wet season sometimes too.
Exactly. The opposite would be to lengthen.
Yep.
Shorten, 줄어들게 하다. Lengthen, 길어지게 하다. So short하고 long 이라는 단어에서 온 거겠죠? shorten의 스펠링은 어떻게 되나요?
shorten. And in this case, in the headline, it was used as the past participle, right?
Yes.
As the passive voice, shortened with ed at the end.
그렇습니다. 근데 만약에 이제 더 길게 늘어뜨린다, lengthen을 말하고 싶으면 스펠링은 그때 lengthen. Lengthen.
Yes, and as a pronunciation guide with lengthen, there is a slight K in there. If you say lengthen, if you look in the dictionary, I believe some dictionaries will put a K in there. So lengthen.
Yes,
lengthen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's the headline again. The number of mosquitoes in Seoul has dropped by more than half over the past decade, with experts attributing the sharp decline to extreme heat and a shortened monsoon season, according to stats from the Seoul Metropolitan Government.
Finnish President Alexander Stubb secretly participated in a triathlon under a pseudonym and ultimately finished second in the men's amateur category, according to local media.
알렉산데르 스투브 핀란드 대통령이 가명으로 철인 3종 대회에 출전해 아마추어 남성 부문 2위를 차지했다고 현지 언론이 보도했습니다. Now, normally when you write something in the simple past tense, you should say when this was, but it was recently.
Recently,
yes. And it's amazing and kind of surprising.
Yeah.
What happened?
So what happened was a triathlon was held in this small town in Finland. And organizers noticed there was a mysterious name, and the name was only appeared as AS.
So that's when they registered for the triathlon.
When this mysterious person registered. And so the competition went on. And after it was over, they realized that AS, who had come in second in the men's amateur category, was actually the president of the country, 57-year-old Alexander Stubb.
So he didn't publicly tell people that he was going to run.
He did not. No. Which is very amazing, incredible that he finished second, but also the fact that he was able to do this without anyone noticing. I wonder how his security detail handled the situation.
I don't think he was running with security or swimming with security.
Well, that would obviously tip off a lot of people. His secret or his identity. But my understanding is in Northern Europe, this is very common for leaders to sometimes even bike to work. They mingle within society very easily, and people don't blink an eye. With that. So truly remarkable. I can't imagine the South Korean president or any other president, in fact,
taking part in a
this.
triathlon.
Well, I think they're just so high profile that people would notice in a heartbeat.
Remind us what a triathlon is.
Yes, a triathlon is now an Olympic event. It consists of, with the prefix tri, meaning three events, right? It's swimming, cycling, and running. And a lot of times people confuse this with the Ironman competition, which is a little different.
Is it? And in Korean, I did say 철인 3종.
That's what I was going to say. So 철인
Is it
3종
different?
obviously comes from Ironman, right? The Ironman competition is a full-length triathlon. So the Olympic triathlon triathlon or a normal triathlon is a shorter distance for all of them. But the Ironman, for example, the running portion is a full marathon, whereas the triathlon is, I believe it's a 10K or correct me if I'm wrong. But
750. No, actually,
the swimming is 750
right.
meters,
But the running is just a sprint, is what it
Yes.
says. So it must be well under the marathon course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. 그러니까 보통은 아이언맨 컴피티션 철인 3종이라고 하면은 이 풀 마라톤을 포함한 장거리의
Yes.
그런 레이스인데 지금 얘기하고 있는 트라이애슬론은 좀 더 단거리군요. 원래 그 아이언맨 컴피티션에 비해서
It's a 5K run. I just found
5K.
it. Yes.
오케이. 아하.
So it's a fraction of the full marathon, which is, of course, 42 point,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
kilometers. Yeah.
그죠. 기존의 그 마라톤보다는 훨씬 더 짧은 이제 5K 마라톤이 포함되어 있는 게 지금 얘기하고 있는 트라이애슬론입니다. 그래서
Right.
뭐 short distance triathlon이라고 부르는 기사도 봤고요. 뭐 짧으니까 상대적으로.
Yep.
Okay. So the president of
Yes.
Finland. 그래서 핀란드의 형용사가 finish예요. And you could say the Finnish president finished second. You know, but when you say finish, talking about of Finland, there's two N's.
Yes.
So when you talk about finishing something,
Right.
it's only one N.
The demonym of Finland would be Finnish with two N's, like you said.
그렇습니다. 자, 그래요. 그래서 핀란드의라고 할 때는 F-I-N-N-I-S-H, finish이라는 표현을 쓰는데, 자, 핀란드 대통령이 본인의 이름을 그대로 수는 없어서 가명을 썼다고요? How would you express that in English?
Right. So a fake name would be a pseudonym, right? P-S-E-U-D-O-N-Y-M. Because pseudo means false or fake. And of course, nym, N-Y-M, meaning name. And when you do something with a pseudonym, you do it under a pseudonym. Because I guess you're putting your name on a list. So you're under that list.
I know a lot of well, I don't know, but I've heard that a lot of A-list celebrities in Hollywood and I'm sure in Korea as well, when they book a room at a hotel,
Yes.
they don't reserve a room under their real name. They use a pseudonym.
Yes.
So it could be like, I don't know,
Henry
Brad
Winkler.
Smith.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Instead of Brad Pitt. Yeah, or
Right.
Henry Winkler, whatever. So they use pseudonyms when they book things.
Yeah,
right?
and it's for security reasons,
Yeah.
obviously. And there are websites that actually list A-list celebrities' pseudonyms at hotels that you can look into.
Interesting. Okay.
But this under is interesting because when you go to a restaurant and you have a reservation, the host or the hostess at the establishment will say, "Oh, what is the reservation? What name is the reservation under?" They always use.
Yes,
right?
that's right. 자, 어떤 이름으로 예약하셨어요? What name is the reservation under? 그래서 어떤 이름으로 예약할 때 under라는 표현을 쓴다는 게 핵심 포인트고요. The president of Finland, he registered this triathlon competition under 어떤 이름으로? A pseudonym, 가명으로 등록을 했습니다. pseudonym에는 P가 있지만 발음하지 않아요. 그래서 P-S-E-U-D-O-N-Y-M, pseudonym. And ultimately, he came in second.
Yeah, so ultimately would be finally, in the end, right? Other ways to say it, at the end of the day, when all is said and done. But what's interesting is this headline, it could have been written easily without the word ultimately. You could have just said, the Finnish president finished second. But when you include the ultimately in here, it sort of insinuates that a lot of things happened to get to that point of finishing second, where, of course, he had to put it under a pseudonym and he had to run. So ultimately, at the end of the day, he finished in second.
네, 최종적으로, 결과적으로, ultimately. So ultimately, he finished second. Or he came in second. 여러 가지로 표현을 할 수 있는데요. 2위 했습니다. Here's the headline again. Finnish President Alexander Stubb secretly participated in a triathlon under a pseudonym and ultimately finished second in the men's amateur category, according to local media. Now here's our next headline.
A chunk of Spanish blue cheese known as cabrales has sold at auction for over $42,000, setting a Guinness World Record for the most expensive cheese ever sold at auction.
스페인 전통의 블루치즈인 카바랄레스 치즈 한 덩이가 42,000달러, 우리 돈으로 약 5,700만 원에 팔리면서 경매에서 판매된 가장 비싼 치즈로 기네스 세계 기록에 올랐습니다.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this cheese was aged in a cave for 10 months. Cabrales is a type of blue cheese, and it's made from unpasteurized cow, goat, and sheep's milk. And it's typically aged in natural limestone caves like this. But by doing this, it gives the cheese a unique sort of spicy and salty flavor, as well as blue cheeses have this, like the name suggests, have this greenish sort of blue aquamarine sort of hue. And at this event, it's the 52nd annual Best Cheese Competition, where it's a competition where a jury tastes and ranks these cheeses using 15 different factors. And in the end, this winning cheese gets auctioned off, and for a hefty sum of 55 million won, over $42,000.
Exactly. I really like blue cheese.
I love blue cheese.
Yeah,
Big,
there's
big
a
fan.
pungent scent or smell to it that some people might find hard to get over. But once you do, it's delicious, isn't it?
Yes.
I think in Korea, a lot of people say gorgonzola cheese to talk about a type of blue cheese. I don't know if it's the
Is
same.
gorgonzola a type of blue cheese?
Is it not?
I thought they were two
don't know.
different things. I'm not sure.
I don't think it's the same as the one we're talking about
They're
here.
similar, though.
But I think there's the same sort of pungent smell.
And they're both soft cheeses, right?
Yes,
because
that's
you have
right.
soft cheeses, hard cheeses. I just like a typical Swiss is my
Really?
personal favorite.
Okay,
but,
yeah.
goat
Cool.
cheese was
Goat cheese,
another favorite of mine. But I don't know if you've ever smelled really pungent cheeses. It will
Not a proper one, no.
No, I had a chance to go to a cheese tasting sort of event.
Okay.
There were hundreds of types of cheeses. I thought I would like every cheese, but some of them are really, really strong, and it really hits your nose really hard, and it's hard to
Did
stomach.
you see the round packaged cheeses then?
Absolutely. The
I think
cheese
they're called
wheel,
wheels.
right.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, some of them are extremely expensive, like
Yes.
the one we're seeing here.
Apparently.
What's a chunk of something?
Yeah, a chunk of something would be a thick, sort of solid piece of something, right? You could have it could be something tangible, like a piece of cheese or a chunk of rock.
Yeah.
But also with money, you say a lot, a chunk of change, a chunk
Yeah.
of cash that you can have.
Sure. I think there's a chocolate brand where there are big chunks of chocolate
Yeah.
inside the chocolate.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's called chunk E or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
덩어리가 많이 들어있다는 뜻이겠죠?
Yeah, sure. And also English learners might actually have learned English using chunks sometimes. But not just memorizing words, but if you memorize chunks of words,
That's
then
right.
you're memorizing sort of phrases and things like that, right?
Exactly. 우리 덩어리를 영어 배울 때도 많이 쓰죠, 이 표현을. 이거를 그냥 하나의 단어 따로따로 외우지 말고 묶음으로, 덩어리로 외우는 게 좋다라고 할 때 it's really useful to memorize chunks of words instead of just word by word. 그때도 많이 씁니다. 덩어리, chunk. Now, what about setting a Guinness World Record for something?
Right. So a Guinness World Record, needless to say, right? So when you become or achieve the best or most extreme result in any specific category, you set a record and you set it for something. Right. So you set the record for the longest running radio program at EBS, Morning Special.
그래서 set the record라는 게 기록을 세운다라는 뜻이고요. 만약에 기록을 깬다 하고 싶으면 break a record라고 하면 되겠죠. Right, here's the headline again. A chunk of Spanish blue cheese known as Cabrales has sold at auction for over $42,000, setting a Guinness World Record for the most expensive cheese ever sold at auction. Now let's move on to the final headline.
Thai authorities are urging tourists and residents on Phuket's Karon Beach to exercise extreme caution following reports of sightings of the blue dragon sea slug, a visually striking but highly venomous marine creature.
시각적으로는 화려하나 독성이 강한 해양 생물인 푸른갯 민숭 달팽이가 푸켓 까론비치에서 발견됐다는 보고가 나온 이후 태국 당국이 해당 지역 주민과 관광객들에게 이를 만지지 않도록 최대한 조심할 것을 당부했습니다.
Yeah. The sea slug, it's beautiful.
It is.
If you've
It looks like a
seen a picture,
dragon.
it does look like it. The name is very descriptive. And the blue is a very sharp electric blue.
Yeah.
It's very pretty.
It doesn't look like a slug,
It
even though
doesn't-
it's a sea slug.
Yeah, it's not a color you normally see that occurs in nature a lot of times. So I can see how people might want to, if they come across one of these things, might want to touch it.
맞아요. 저도
Yeah.
그림을 보니까 이게 굉장히 쨍한 파란색이 아니 쨍하다기보다는 약간 파란색과 하늘색 중간 정도 에메랄드도 아니고 굉장히 예쁩니다. 어쨌든 오묘한 파란색이고 그 다음에는 약간 용처럼 생기기도 했고 도롱뇽 같기도 하고 뭔가 굉장히 독특하고 아름다워요. But they say don't touch it.
Do not touch it.
Oh, it's poisonous.
Yeah, it could be fatal even because they release this venom. They sting you. But the sea slug, it's an invertebrate. So
right.
and it's found typically in warmer ocean waters around Australia, South Africa, and Europe. But I guess there have been sightings here in Phuket, which is a very big, of course, tourist destination. They're very small, actually. They're usually about 2.5, less than 4 centimeters long.
Oh, okay.
But they are very aggressive. And of course, when you're swimming in the ocean, we are in their environment. So, of course, we should take care of them.
I can picture some curious kids in the ocean, maybe trying to look for snails and things like that, and then coming across this beautiful little blue thing and trying to pick it up with a fishing net. Don't do that.
Yeah. No worse
Dangerous.
way to ruin your vacation than to be stung and going to pay a visit to the hospital.
That's right. That's why health authorities in Thailand have, they said to the people, please exercise caution.
Yeah. So when we see these warnings, you exercise caution, right? And in this case, extreme caution.
Yeah.
So they're saying be careful, but be extremely or very careful and vigilant and, take every possible precaution to avoid harm or any mistakes.
So again, this is a chunk that we could memorize together. Exercising caution. 같이 외우면 좋은 덩어리예요. 이게 뭐냐면은 조심한다, 조심하게 행동한다라는 뜻입니다. Exercising caution. 근데 extreme이 들어갔기 때문에 각별히 조심해라라는 뜻이죠.
Yeah.
So authorities in Thailand have urged people to exercise extreme caution. Why? Because they are venomous.
Yeah.
Venomous means 독이 있다라는 뜻이죠.
Right.
And this is despite being visually striking.
Yeah, it's very tempting
Yeah.
because if something is striking, it's very noticeable.
Sure.
But when we talk about appearance, it's very impressive. We usually use it in a positive light. It grabs your attention, right? It
does, yeah.
So if something's visually striking, it attracts attention. Like the movie star's looks were striking, we would say.
Visually, something that's visual, as we know, is something that you can see. And striking, 이게 굉장히 이제 강렬한 눈에 띄는 그런 의미가 있어서요. 아름답다라고 좀 해석할 수 있겠죠? 이 경우에는.
Yeah, you're almost hit by their beauty.
그래요.
If you run into an A-list celebrity, that aura of celebrity, it just hits you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. All right. Well, here's the headline again. Thai authorities are urging tourists and residents on Phuket's Karon Beach to exercise extreme caution following reports of sightings of the blue dragon sea slug, a visually striking but highly venomous marine creature. And that's it for the headlines with Shane Harm.
The average retail price of a watermelon has surged past 30,000 won, stoking consumer frustration amid projections that prices will remain elevated as the mercury continues to rise.
수박 한 통의 국내 평균 소매 가격이 계속 올라 3만 원을 돌파한 가운데 연일 이어지는 무더운 날씨로 수박 가격 상승세가 꺾이지 않을 거란 전망에 소비자들의 불만도 커지고 있습니다. Tell us more, Karen.
Right. What is your favorite summer fruit?
I like watermelons. I don't think it's my favorite. I don't know, actually. I just like all fruits, the same.
Yeah, all fruits. But definitely, I think for a lot of people, watermelon is something that it's in a lot of people's refrigerators during the summer, as well as chamue, I think is a lot of many people's favorites. But the prices have seen a huge surge. So they went past 30,000 won. That's about 21 US dollars as an early summer heat wave has tightened its grip on the country. So according to the Korea Agro Fisheries and Food Trade Corporation, the average retail price for watermelons hit 30,327 won at traditional markets, and that's up nearly 40% from the same period last year. Industry experts say that extreme heat is reducing fruit quality, especially the sugar content, making fewer watermelons meet top grade standards. Meanwhile, demand has spiked as consumers are looking to beat the heat. Prices are now roughly 42% higher than historical averages. The Korea Rural Economic Institute says supply levels may remain stable, but prices are unlikely to drop as long as the scorching weather continues.
Exactly. 평균 수박의 가격이 29,543원이라고 하는데요. 그런데 일부 전통시장에서는 이미 3만 원이 넘는 수박들이 나오고 있습니다. 그러니까 뭐 평균 가격이 3만 원 조금 밑도는 수준인데 그만큼 많이 비싸졌다는 얘기고, as you said earlier on, one of the reasons is because of the heat wave, because it's so hot. Apparently, that's making the I was going to say subaks, watermelons are becoming less and less sweet.
Yes,
and
the sugar content.
Yeah, and that means the ones that are sweet are more expensive.
More expensive, of course. And like we said, a lot of people love to enjoy the watermelons during the summer, so that's driving up the demand.
Yeah, exactly. There was one Korean article that named this heatflation, which is, immediately what you understand what that means.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look at the frustration that the people are experiencing.
Yes, if you are frustrated at something, it means that you are feeling a bit upset.
Yeah.
You're feeling annoyed, especially because of some sort of inability to change or to, in this case, achieve something. You aren't able to buy something because the prices have gone up.
Exactly. Frustration이라는 감정은요, 우리식으로 하자면은 굉장히 답답하면서도 화도 나는 이런 복합적인 감정입니다. 답답한 것만 frustrated라고 할 수는 없을 것 같아요. 물론 때에 따라서는 너무 누군가가 느려서 답답해 할 때도 it's so frustrating 할 수 있겠지만 보통은 답답함과 그런 anger가 같이 들어있어요.
yes.
약간의 짜증도 같이 들어있어요. 그게 frustration입니다. So people are frustrated because, watermelons are so expensive and we want watermelons in the summertime.
Yeah.
All right, what about the mercury going up or down?
The mercury actually refers to that column of mercury in a thermometer or barometer, or the height as indicating the atmospheric temperature or pressure, but so we refer to it as the temperature. So when it goes up, the temperature is going up, and when it goes down, the temperature is going down. So we just say the mercury to refer to the temperature.
Yeah, exactly. mercury는 수은인데요. 우리가 원래 이제 전통 그 체온계에 보면은 이제 수은이 이게 보이잖아요. 그런 체온계를 저도 예전에 집에 가지고 있었는데 요즘에는 다 전자식이라서 그런 게 안 보입니다만 그래서 우리가 온도 얘기할 때요. 영어에서는 다양한 방법으로 묘사를 할 수 있는데 그중에 하나가 바로 이 수은주 얘기를 하는 겁니다. 우리말로도 물론 우리가 수은주라는 말을 쓸 수는 있는데 잘 안 쓰는 것 같아요, 요즘에는. 영어에서는 mercury 많이 써요.
Yes.
So the temperature, the mercury, 이런 식으로 interchangeably you can use those two expressions. 여기서 얘기하는 거는 the mercury is continuing to rise라고 했죠. That means temperatures are hot. But I guess after today and tomorrow, the temperatures might drop a little bit.
Well,
we don't know.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know with the weather these days. I can't. It's very
Unpredictable?
unpredictable, to say the least. Yes.
Right. Well, the nation is receiving a lot of rain today, and I believe for the next couple of days it will be rainy. So maybe the mercury will go down, maybe not.
Maybe not. Because, I think just a couple days ago, they were saying that the 장마 was over or the rainy season was over, and now it's raining. So I really don't know what to expect for this summer.
All right, well, I'm going to read the headline one more time. The average retail price of a watermelon has surged past 30,000 won, stoking consumer frustration amid projections that prices will remain elevated as the mercury continues to rise. Now let's move on to the second headline.
Denmark's capital Copenhagen has overtaken Vienna to be named the world's most livable city in 2025 by the Economist's intelligence unit, earning perfect scores in stability, education, and infrastructure.
영국의 이코노미스트 인텔리전스 유닛이 선정한 2025년 세계 가장 살기 좋은 도시들 지표에서 안정성, 교육, 인프라 분야에서 만점을 받은 덴마크의 수도 코펜하겐이 지난 3년간 1위였던 오스트리아 빈을 밀어내고 정상에 올랐습니다.
Yeah.
Best place to live.
Yeah, great news for the Danish capital. As you mentioned, Vienna has held on to the top spot for the past 3 years, but dropped to second place after recent security concerns. So Copenhagen scored especially high in safety, education, and infrastructure, with safety weighing heavily in this year's rankings due to rising global tensions. So other cities that were among the top 10 included Zurich, Melbourne, and Geneva. And Osaka was the only Asian city to make the top 10, coming
number
in
7?
7th place. And the list reflects a notable shakeup in the usual order, highlighting Copenhagen's growing global appeal as a secure and comfortable place to live. So what's so great about the city? According to a lot of expats who have moved there, they say that it's the streets are wide. They say the bikes outnumber cars, and the city runs on common sense. It has a lot of community spirit. It lacks a lot of pressure. There's a lot of open air markets, public saunas, and they say it's very family friendly. And one of the perks that I really enjoyed was that a lot of companies are said to encourage their employees to take 3 weeks off in July.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great for the employees.
Yep.
Okay. Well, as you said, before this year's list came out,
Yes.
Vienna was at the top of the list.
Yeah.
But I think last year, because there was an unfortunate incident that took place and safety concerns were raised, it actually dropped.
Just one notch.
One
yes.
notch, yes. Right, let's have a look at overtaking.
Right. So Copenhagen overtook Vienna to become the number 1 city, right? So overtaking something means to move past something. You're growing past something, you're developing or progressing more quickly than something else.
Yeah, exactly. 앞지르다, 능가하거나 추월하는 것을 overtaking이라고 하죠. When a car overtakes you,
Yes.
it's very frustrating. And sometimes you get a little bit angry.
Well, I think when a car overtakes you aggressively.
Oh, yes, that's right. If it's done, in
a very smooth way.
Yeah, then it's fine.
When it doesn't affect you. Yes.
That's true, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. What about stability?
Stability. So stability is a situation in which something like the economy or a company or a system can continue in a regular and successful way without unexpected changes.
자, 안정성을 stability라고 합니다. 흔들리지 않고 가만히 있는 이런 상태를 stable하다라고 하는데요. 여기서 얘기하고 있는 거는 이제 어떤 그 나라의 안정성, 이제 not safety, 안전이 아니고요. 안정적인지 아닌지 얘기를 하고 있는 겁니다. 자, 다시 한번 읽어볼게요. Denmark's capital, Copenhagen, has overtaken Vienna to be named the world's most livable city in 2025 by the Economist Intelligence Unit, earning perfect scores in stability, education, and infrastructure.
Bulgaria is slated to switch its currency from the left to the euro on January 1st, 2026, becoming the 21st member of the Eurozone.
불가리아가 2026년 1월 1일부터 자국 통화를 레프에서 유로로 전환할 예정입니다. 이로써 불가리아는 EU 회원국들 중 21번째 유로존 가입국이 됩니다.
Yep. So Bulgaria is officially set to adopt the euro. This is nearly 19 years after joining the European Union. And EU finance ministers approved the move, locking in the exchange rate at 1.95 5583 Bulgarian lev per euro. And the I cannot talk today.
It's really hard to
yes,
read
it's very
this
difficult.
article. Yeah.
The Bulgarian Prime Minister has hailed it as a landmark moment, pledging a smooth transition in the interest of citizens.
Right. So Bulgaria had already become a part of the European Union
A long time ago. Yeah.
But it takes time to change a country's currency.
Of course.
And so that's why now, after all these years, they're finally saying, okay, January 1st, 2026 is the date where we no longer have the lev. We only use the euro.
Right. So top EU leaders have welcomed Bulgaria, but public opinion does remain divided with fears of inflation. And there have been protests in Sofia, which is the capital of Bulgaria, calling to keep their original currency. So with the move, the Eurozone will now grow to 21 members following Croatia's entry in 2023. Experts are saying that the move will strengthen Bulgaria's economy and reduce Russian influence, although opposition voices argue that the change threatens purchasing power.
All right. Now, this is slated to happen. When we say something is slated to happen, what does that mean?
It means it hasn't happened yet, but it will happen soon. So we usually use this when something is expected to happen in the future, or when someone is expected to be doing something in the future. So I use this a lot for example, when I'm writing articles about K-pop and when someone is expected to drop a new album. We say that, this album is slated to drop next month.
뭐뭐 할 예정이다 라고 할 때요. Be slated to. So this K-pop group or band is slated to drop an album next month.
Yeah.
이런 식으로 뭐뭐 할 예정이다 is expected to랑 비슷해요. 자, 다음으로 currency.
So currency is a system of money in general use in a particular country. So in Korea, our currency would be the won.
그렇죠. 통화. 그 나라에서 쓰는 돈, 단위. 이거를 currency라고 합니다. 그래가지고 우리나라는 원화니까요. The Korean currency is the won, W-O-N. The Japanese currency is the yen, and you could go on and on and on, of course. And in Bulgaria, it was the lev, but from next year, it's going to be the euro, like all the other EU countries. Well, here's the headline again. Bulgaria is slated to switch its currency from the lev to the euro on January 1st, 2026, becoming the 21st member of the Eurozone. Now let's move on to the next headline.
The world record for the largest string orchestra has been broken in Germany as 1,353 musicians braved rain and wind to perform Beethoven's Ode to Joy from his 9th Symphony.
세계 최대 규모의 현악 오케스트라 공연 기록이 독일에서 경신됐습니다. 비바람을 마다 않고 한자리에 모인 1,353명의 참가자들은 베토벤 교향곡 9번 사악장 환희의 송가를 합동 연주한 것으로 알려졌습니다.
Yeah.
Amazing
Amazing performance,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah.
So tell us more.
Right. So this performance that was by German musicians, it surpasses the previous record of 1,021 musicians who played in Hong Kong back in 2018. So this event was held in Recklinghausen's town square, and it was led by the Westfalen Symphony Orchestra and its music director, Rasmus Baumann. And despite the rainy and the windy weather, crowds of musicians and supporters turned out by the masses. And the ensemble performed, as we mentioned, Beethoven's Ode to Joy. It was chosen for its message of unity, accessibility to players of all levels, and its required 5-minute duration. So they had to play it for a certain time in order to surpass this record. And the music director noted that the piece, also the European anthem, symbolizes the power of music to connect people. And while this breaks the string orchestra record, the largest overall orchestral performance still belongs to Venezuela's El Sistema with over 8,500 musicians.
이거 관악기, 현악기 다 합친 largest orchestra performance는 베네수엘라가 가지고 있군요.
Yes.
8,000명 이상, 8,500명 이상의 연주자가 함께 그 2021년
Yes,
네,
it was more
연주였습니다.
recent, yeah.
네, 그런데 이제 현악기로만 이뤄진 그런 오케스트라 연주로는 이번이 최다 기록을 세우게 됐습니다. 1353명이고요. 제가 그 현장음을 조금만 들려드릴까 하는데 앞부분만 좀 들으시면은 뭐 사실 그냥 우리가 보통 생각하는 Ode to Joy의 그런 CD 음악이랑 비슷하긴 한데 이 현장음입니다. 한번 들려드릴게요. Okay, see if I can. Here we go. 이게 너무나 신기한 게 지금 이게 1,300명 이상의 연주자가 이렇게 하나의 소리를 내는 거는 정말 쉽지 않아요.
It's not easy.
네, 왜냐하면 옆에 연주자의 소리를 들으면서 박자를 딱 맞춰야 되는 건데, 네, 대단하다는 생각이 들었고.
And like you have to have a large space for everyone to fit, and it's just the logistics of this entire thing.
맞습니다.
Very difficult.
네, 네, 그래요. Right, let's have a look at a string orchestra.
Yes, so you mentioned it a little bit earlier. So they had the largest overall orchestral performance that was set in back in 2021. That means you have the strings, but you also have like the flute, the trombone, so other instruments involved. But a string instrument requires the string section of an orchestra. So you're talking about violin, viola, cello, and the bass. Yeah, so they are made up of bowed strings, which is used in Western classical music.
Yep, that's right. You have the strings and you have the wind section as well.
And percussion, I think.
Percussion, yes. 그래요. brass도
Brasses,
있고.
yeah.
그러니까 이제 오케스트라 얘기하면은 우리가 각 파트들이 있잖아요. 현악기를 string instrument 아니면 그냥 strings라고 합니다. 그래서 string orchestra는 현악 오케스트라를 얘기하고 있고요. 만약에 관악 오케스트라를 얘기하고 싶으면 wind orchestra. The brass orchestra는 trumpets and trombones 이런 것들이 되겠죠. 그 외에도 이제 marimba, drums 이런 건 다 percussion 이 되겠습니다. 자, 날씨가 좋지 않았어요. 근데 아까 잠깐 들려드렸지만 이게 비를 맞으면서 바람, 이게 머리 막 날리는 모습들도 보이거든요. 영상을 보게 되면 이런 것들을 마다하지 않고 이겨내면서 연주한 겁니다. So they braved the weather.
Right. So it's been used as a verb. When you brave something, it means you're enduring something or you're facing some sort of unpleasant condition or behavior without showing fear.
To brave something. 여기서 brave가 동사로 쓰인 거죠. 그래서 무슨 뜻이냐면 어려운 무언가를 대면하다. 어떤 것에 직면하고 마다하지 않고 뭔가 했다라는 뜻으로 특히 날씨에 관해서 많이 쓰고요. I got here. I braved the storm and I got here this morning.
Yep.
폭풍이 몰아침에도 불구하고 여기 왔습니다라고 할 때 쓸 수 있겠죠. In this case, the musicians braved rain and wind to perform Ode to Joy. 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. The world record for the largest string orchestra has been broken in Germany, as 1,353 musicians braved rain and wind to perform Beethoven's Ode to Joy from his Ninth Symphony. Here's our final headline.
Sotheby's in New York is set to auction a 25-kilogram Martian rock as part of a natural history-themed sale, with estimates ranging from $2 to $4 million.
뉴욕 소더비가 자연사를 주제로 한 경매에서 무게 25kg에 달하는 화성 운석을 내놓을 예정입니다. 이 운석의 예상 판매가는 200에서 400만 달러, 우리 돈으로 약 27억에서 54억 원 사이로 보도됐습니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, so Sotheby's is set to hold this auction. It's slated to hold this auction. So it's the largest Martian meteorite ever found on Earth. And they're also auctioning along other natural history-themed stuff. It's part of its 2025 Geek Week Natural History Sale. Okay. And the meteorite, it's known as NWA 16788. It was discovered in the Sahara Desert in 2023, and it's believed to have been blasted off Mars by an asteroid before making its 140 million mile journey to Earth. It weighs in as 70% larger than any previous Martian fragment, and the rock represents nearly 7% of all known Martian material on Earth. So it's pretty big. And scientific analysis has confirmed it as an olivine microgabronic share a good title. I don't know what this is. It's a very rare Martian rock type that was formed from magma. And also up for auction, as I mentioned, is a juvenile dinosaur skeleton that was unearthed in the state of Wyoming back in 1996. It dates back 150 million years to the late Jurassic period. And that dinosaur fossil is also expected to fetch between $4 million and $6 million as well.
Well, this auction is natural history themed.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Right. So natural history, this is focusing on the study and appreciation of the natural world. So this includes plants, animals, ecosystems, and the processes that shape them.
Natural history, 자연사가 되겠죠. 그래서 그 자연사를 주제로 한 natural history themed 그런 경매입니다. What's an estimate?
An estimate would be an approximate calculation or judgment of the value, number, quantity, or extent of something. So we do this a lot when we're doing math or when we're trying to calculate something. We can round up, round down, or when we have different figures and we're trying to add it all up, we can give a rough estimate of something.
An estimate as a noun in this case, although it can be used as a verb as well.
Yeah.
이게 estimate라는 명사일 때는 추정액이 되겠죠. 아니면은 그냥 추정이 될 수도 있습니다.
Yeah.
그래서 지금 추정하기로는 한 27억 원에서 54억 원 사이에 팔릴 것으로 예상이 됩니다.
Yeah. What would you do with this huge rock? It's 25 kilograms.
Well, some people find meaning in having something very, very valuable and unique, even if it costs an arm and a leg. As a verb, by the way, when you say estimate, the pronunciation changes a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So you would estimate, I estimate something, but an estimate, it's a little different, yes.
네, 발음이 좀 다릅니다. 동사일 때와 명사일 때. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. Sotheby's in New York is set to auction a 25-kilogram Martian rock as part of a natural history-themed sale, with estimates ranging from $2 to $4 million.
Korea has been selected to host the 48th session of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee next year, marking the first time it will serve in this role since the committee was established in 1977.
한국이 내년 제48차 유네스코 세계유산위원회의 개최국으로 선정됐습니다. 우리나라에서 세계유산위원회가 열리는 건 1977년에 위원회가 만들어진 이후 이번이 처음입니다. Tell us more.
Yeah, so the committee selected Korea just recently in its 47th meeting, and it will be hosted in Busan in July of next year. Some of the other Asian cities that have hosted this in the past has been Thailand's Phuket, Japan's Kyoto in 1994, China's Suzhou in 2004, and Cambodia's Phnom Penh in 2013.
그렇군요. 내년 7월에 부산에서 열리게 되는 이 유네스코 위원회에서 우리나라가 주최국으로 이렇게 선정이 된 것이죠. 주최국이니까 부산에서 하는 거겠죠. So it's the first time since
it was established in 1977.
Yeah, wow.
I'm a little bit surprised that they're literally informing the host country 1 year before. Like usually events like this, it's kind of done like years in advance so that the host country can prepare in earnest. But just essentially 1 year's notice. I mean, they're going to be doing it next year, right?
Yeah, I don't know if this has just been disclosed to the public at this stage or if they really didn't know. I'm not sure about the specifics. But nonetheless, next year it is. It's only about a year away, exactly a year away.
Exactly a year away, yeah.
Okay. So Korea's going to be hosting. What does hosting mean?
If you're hosting, then you're having guests coming over to your place. So in this particular case, we're talking about other countries coming to our country here in Korea. And usually, you can host something at your home or your house where other people and guests will come to your house. And you're going to be, providing maybe the food or entertainment, or certainly the shelter for people to stay in.
네, 주최하는 것을 호스팅이라고 하죠. 저희 경우에는 라디오 진행을 하는데 이것도 hosting이라고 하고요. 아까 얘기한 집들이 같은 경우에는 집 주인이 hosting a housewarming party 이런 식으로 얘기를 할 수 있겠습니다. So South Korea will host the UNESCO World Heritage Committee next year. It will be the host country. And it's the first time for South Korea to serve in this role.
Yeah, and you could say to just be in this role, that it's the first time that they're doing this. But I like how they say serve in this role in this particular case, because as a host, you are sort of serving other people, or in this case, serving other countries. You're doing something that is hospitable. And because of that, to use this word, I think it's a little bit more accurate. It certainly gives you the more warm feel. And that you're actually doing something. You're serving other people. It's sort of like you're putting them before yourself.
Exactly. At a restaurant, you have servers.
Yes.
But then, just as you said, people in very important roles, especially with the government, they are essentially serving the people.
Yes. Yeah. So we often do say that they serve in a particular role as well, especially when it comes to government posts.
그래요. 이 서브한다라는 게 뭔가 이렇게 대우를 해준다든지 대접을 해준다라는 의미도 있죠. 그래서 거기서 나온 명사가 서비스 아니겠어요? 근데 사실은 이제 공무원도 그다음에 이제 정부의 높은 관직에 계신 분들도 영어에서는 다 동사 serve를 써서 they are serving the people 이렇게 표현을 할 수 있습니다. We often say to soldiers, thank you for your service because they are serving the country, the people as well. Right. 여기서는 serve in this role. 그러니까 serve를 뭐 달리 해석한다기보다는 여기서는 그냥 어떤 역할을 맡는다, 역할을 갖게 된다 이렇게 해석을 하면 되겠네요.
And also with soldiers, you mentioned as they serve in the military, quite often we'll actually call them servicemen as well.
Yeah, that's true actually. So if you hear the word servicemen, you can think of people in the military. Okay, 그래요. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. Korea has been selected to host the 48th session of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee next year, marking the first time it will serve in this role since the committee was established in 1977. Let's move on to the next headline.
The proportion of employees in their 20s at major Korean companies has dwindled over the past 2 years, raising concerns about an aging workforce and narrowing job opportunities for young people.
최근 2년 새 국내 대기업의 20대 직원 비중이 줄어듦에 따라 전체 노동 인구의 고령화 및 사회 초년생의 취업 기회 감소에 대한 우려가 제기되고 있습니다. Now, just to clarify, it's not that people in their 20s don't want to get a job. It's that the big companies are not hiring as many people in their 20s as before, right?
Yes, correct. And the data, there's a tracker called CEO Score, and the share of employees in their 20s at 67 of the country's top 100 firms with disclosed sustainability reports fell from 24.8% in 2022 to 21% last year. So it clearly shows that the number is going down in terms of younger people. And they're saying that, this trend reflects how companies are increasingly shifting away from large-scale open recruitment and going towards hiring practices that favor experienced workers.
All right. Well, the number of people in their 20s being newly hired is dwindling. Let's look at the word dwindle.
Something that is dwindling is getting lesser and lesser, and usually at a very extreme rate. So you think of something, in this particular case, it is getting lesser, but maybe not super fast. Like I think of something going, whoa, like that number's going down really fast.
Okay. dwindle이라는 거는 이제 줄어든다라는 뜻입니다. 그래서 보통 시간이 지나면서 줄어드는 것을 something is dwindling이라고 얘기를 할 수 있어요. 그래서 decreasing, shrinking, going down 다 비슷한 뜻이 있죠. Normally with population, we can talk about it either increasing or dwindling, and that's exactly what we're seeing here.
Yeah, and again, for me personally, I kind of feel a certain emotion with it as it's kind of extreme and it's happening very quickly or rapidly to something that it might surprise you or it might shock you. So it's sort of got like that very
Really?
On it as opposed to just kind of going down.
그렇군요. 저는 사실 dwindle 하면은 좀 천천히 줄어든다라는 이미지로 그렇게 늘 생각을 해왔는데 선생님한테는 좀 빨리 줄어드는 이미지가 있군요.
Yeah, like sort of like an extreme, like it's something, it's one of those words, like when I'm writing scripts or I see it in scripts, like it's something that it gets my attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if I heard the word plummet, then I
Yes.
would think immediate drop.
Yeah, absolutely.
그런 단어들 아니면 plunge, plummet 이런 단어들은 그냥 갑자기 탁 하락을 하는 느낌인 것 같아요. 그 외에도 우리가 숫자 얘기하면서 줄어들었다 할 때 drop, collapse 이런 단어들도 좀 급격한 하락을 암시하고요. 좀 천천히 줄어들었다라는 뜻의 단어들도 있습니다. It's been declining over the years. 그러면은 뭐 그렇게 빨리는 아닐 수 있어요. 그렇죠?
Yeah.
네. 자, 여기서는 dwindling over the past 2 years라고 했습니다. 2024년 데이터 기준으로 보고 있는 거니까 2022년에 비해서 24년도에는 20대의 신입 리크루터들이 많이 줄어든 모습입니다. Now they only take up about 20%, I believe, of the workforce as opposed to 25% 2 years ago. What's narrowing job opportunities?
So things that are narrowing are getting thinner and thinner. And I think of like maybe like a broad passage that you can go through, but now it's closing. Or maybe like a doorway or something like an entranceway that is getting smaller and smaller, meaning that, fewer people can get through it, right? So if something is narrowing, then it's in here, it's saying that the opportunities for people that want jobs, essentially it's saying that there are fewer and fewer jobs available for younger people.
Exactly. Narrow is used as a verb in this case. We often use it as an adjective to talk about a narrow alleyway as opposed to a wide alleyway. But here it's talking about something getting smaller or getting narrower. So narrowing job opportunities basically means there are less job opportunities than before for people in their 20s.
Something is shrinking.
Yes, that's right. Well, here's the headline again. The proportion of employees in their 20s at major Korean companies has dwindled over the past 2 years, raising concerns about an aging workforce and narrowing job opportunities for young people.
Extreme heat, heavy rainfall, and ongoing droughts are now the new normal in the UK, according to the latest climate report, which cites a warming rate of 0.25 degrees Celsius per decade and ranks the past 3 years among the 5 warmest since records began in 1884.
영국에서 이상기온, 폭우, 계속되는 가뭄 등의 극단적인 기상현상이 뉴 노멀이 되고 있다는 보고서가 나왔습니다. 이 보고서에 따르면 영국 기온은 10년마다 섭씨 0.25도꼴로 상승했으며 관련 기록 작성이 시작된 1884년 이후 연도별 최고기온 순위 5위 안에 지난 3년이 포함된 것으로 나타났습니다. I remember when I was living in the UK in the 80s and 90s, so a long, long time ago, the weather was always very mild, all year round, pretty much. But these days, it feels like a different country altogether. When I hear stories about this, it's really cold in the wintertime, super hot in the summertime. It's not what I experienced. But I guess that's why they're saying now this is the new norm.
The new normal, yeah. And I love that expression, by the way, as well. Like, this is the new normal. This is what you should expect now. This is how it is now.
It is, indeed. We used that expression a lot during COVID, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Wearing
certainly.
masks is the new normal. And then we had to, of course, after 3 years, go back to our normal before the new normal?
The pre-normal?
The pre-normal? I don't know.
The pre-new normal.
Yeah. All right. So tell us more.
Yeah, so the past decade from 2015 to 2024, it has reported a 1.24 degree increase in temperature from the time period from 1961 to 1990. So that's significant. And the BBC has reported that parts of the UK have been declared in an official drought. And last month was England's warmest June on record. So certainly records are being broken. Anytime you mention the word drought, I mean, all of a sudden it's getting very serious.
Yeah, absolutely. What is a drought? It
So-
says ongoing droughts here.
Yeah, an ongoing drought means that it's continuing. And what is a drought? It's when you don't have enough rainfall.
So it's the opposite of what we're seeing this morning around the country. We're seeing a lot of rain today, but a drought is
The
very
exact
dry
opposite. Yes.
periods. Yeah.
Yeah. So certainly, if you don't have enough rainfall, then it's going to affect crops
Yeah.
significantly, and certainly the ground as well. So the big issue with droughts is for farming. Right,
Yes.
and it can affect the climate of an area as well. So a lot of different things can be affected by droughts. But the biggest thing when you hear the word drought, you're immediately thinking a lack of rain.
Yes, exactly. And the spelling is quite unique.
Oh, very. So yeah, a drought is spelled DROUGHTS.
drought라고 발음을 하고요. 스펠링에는 GH가 들어가 있는데 이거를 이제 뭐 푸 발음으로 한다든지 이렇게 하진 않습니다. 그래서 drought.
We do,
가뭄.
we do use this word figuratively sometimes,
Yeah,
especially in sports.
Okay.
So sometimes, he might be on a scoring drought. So maybe the soccer player hasn't scored a goal in 10 games. Then we can say, oh, he's on a bit of a drought or he's on a scoring drought because he hasn't scored in a long time. It's sort of like there hasn't been rain in a
Yeah.
long time. There's a drought. This hasn't happened in a long time. It's a this drought.
그러니까 scoring drought이라고 하면은 점수를 내는 것에 있어서 지금 가뭄을 겪는 것 같다. 점수가 계속 안 나온다는 얘기겠네요. What about citing something? C-I-T-E.
If you cite something, then it's like you're referencing something or using something as evidence, or you're referring to something as this is what I'm talking about, or I'm using this as information. So you might cite a newspaper article as the reason that you're talking about something. You might cite somebody's research to, use as evidence to support a case that you're trying to say, but you're using some sort of information that's been out there before, or maybe something that somebody said. I'm citing this person who said this in this speech or in this movie, and you're going to use that to, in whatever it is that you are presenting.
인용하다, cite. 인용구, citation. 여기서는 보고서 얘기를 하면서요. 이 보고서에는 이런 내용이 나옵니다. The report cites that there's a warming rate of 0.25 degrees Celsius per 10 years. And the past 3 years has been one of the top 5 hottest years on record.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. Extreme heat, heavy rainfall and ongoing droughts are now the new normal in the UK, according to the latest climate report, which cites a warming rate of 0.25 degrees Celsius per decade and ranks the past 3 years among the 5 warmest since records began in 1884. Now let's move on to the next headline.
A new research has revealed that animals like moths respond to ultrasonic distress sounds made by plants, suggesting a hidden ecosystem of communication beyond human hearing.
식물이 고통 신호가 담긴 초음파 소리를 내면은 이를 나방 등의 동물이 듣고 반응한다는 연구 결과가 나왔습니다. 이는 인간의 가청 범위 밖에서 소통이 이루어지는 숨은 생태계가 있음을 시사합니다. We actually looked at an article related to this. I believe it was at the end of last year. And this BBC article and the Korean articles that cite that, they, I believe they're all referencing that particular study. So tell us more.
Yeah, so in the first ever such evidence, a team at Tel Aviv University found that female moths avoided laying their eggs on tomato plants if they made noises they associated with distress, indicating that, they might be unhealthy in particular.
그래요. 우리가 그 예전에 뉴스 커버리지에서 한번 다룬 적이 있는 내용입니다. 이렇게 우리는 들리지 않지만 식물이 이제 비명을 지르는 것 같은 그런 소리를 낸대요. 그러니까 물이 부족하거나 그럴 때. 그러면은 이제 나방은 그 소리를 감지를 하고 여기는 이제 식물이 제대로 자라지 않을 상태니까 여기 알을 낳으면 안 되겠다 한다는 그런 내용의 기사를 예전에 본 적이 있죠. 그거를 이렇게 코트를 해가지고 기사가 최근에 나왔습니다. So I think the study itself was done a while back, but the article just came out. So it's interesting to have a look at this again.
Yeah, and the researchers did also stress that the plants are not sentient, meaning, they don't have feelings and are saying, hey, get away from me. It's not like they're talking or they're intelligent beings. It's just that this is their reaction to the situation of what's happening.
Right. From that longer article, if I recall correctly, I believe when the plants, they didn't have enough water, they made a sort of screeching sound that we can't hear, but the moths can. So basically it's, saying I'm running out of water, I might dry out. And so the moths, they don't lay their eggs on plants that are not going to thrive. And it makes sense. And it's just something we never knew about until now.
They should have some sort of a contraption that does hear when plants give off things like that, so we know when to water them or how much to water them and stuff like that.
We live in the world of AI. Can't we, get a little device that translates that sound to us?
We should be able to. And by the way, people might wonder, how are there, sounds that we can't hear? There's something called a dog whistle. And a dog whistle, when you blow it, we can't actually hear it because the frequency, I think, is a lot higher than the pitch that we can hear. But of course, dogs can hear them, which is why we call them a dog whistle.
Exactly. Let's look at the expression to respond to something.
If you respond to something, then you are reacting to something. Something might happen, and because of that cause, you are doing something in response to that. So it could be, simple as responding to a question. You might ask a question, Jason, can you explain this? And my response to that is, this is what I'm saying. So it's like a question answer as you respond, or it could be an action as well, what you do because of something else.
반응하는 것을 responding to something. 반응 자체는 response with an S-E. 자, 그 다음에 초음파가 ultrasonic죠. 그래서 초음파의 ultrasonic. 그 다음에 beyond human hearing을 한번 볼까요?
It's beyond human hearing, meaning that it's past. It goes further than human hearing, meaning that, we cannot hear it. Humans cannot hear this because it goes past or further than what our ears are capable of hearing. So if you're saying something goes beyond, it's past what we're capable of.
Exactly. 자, beyond something은 넘어. Human hearing은 인간이 들을 수 있는 그 범주를 넘었다. 그래서 이거를 아까 헤드라인에서는 이제 한자를 이용해서 인간의 가청 범위를 넘어섰다. 이렇게 표현을 했는데요. Basically, it's something we can't hear, but moths can.
Sometimes you might ask a question like, why did he do that? And then I might say, you know what? It's beyond me.
Yeah.
So meaning, I don't know. Yeah. Like, I don't have the answer for that. So it's beyond me. It's beyond my information. It's beyond anything that I know. I don't know because it is beyond me.
내가 알 수 있는 범주를 벗어났어. 이런 의미를 함축해서 영어에서는요. It's beyond me. 이렇게 표현할 수 있어요. 나 전혀 모르겠는데? 이런 의미죠. 자, 다시 한번 제가 읽어보겠습니다. A new research has revealed that animals like moths respond to ultrasonic distress sounds made by plants, suggesting a hidden ecosystem of communication beyond human hearing. Let's move on to the final headline.
The original 1985 black leather Birkin bag created for singer Jane Birkin has sold at an auction for 8.6 million euros, becoming the most valuable handbag ever sold.
가수 겸 배우 제인 버킨을 위해 1985년에 맞춤 제작된 검은색 가죽의 오리지널 버킨 백이 경매에서 860만 유로, 우리 돈으로 약 137억 원에 낙찰돼 역대 핸드백 경매 사상 최고가를 기록했습니다. Alright, tell us more.
Yeah, so this black leather bag was originally made for singer Jane Birkin back in 1985 by a very famous designer. And it's been sold to a private collector from Japan. And that's a lot of money, 8.6 million euros.
Exactly. Well, there's a really interesting story behind how this bag came about. Now, Jane Birkin just happened to be on a plane. This was 2 years prior to this bag coming out in 1983. And she just happened to be there with the then CEO of MS, Jean-Louis Dumas. But she didn't realize he was the CEO of this, handbag maker. Anyway, she had this straw bag with her. And she was trying to put it up into the overhead compartment. Everything spilt out. So she's like, I hate this bag. And so Dumas said, he recognized her immediately because she's an actress, she's a singer, she's very famous. He didn't immediately tell her who he was, but he said, well, what would you like in a bag? What's your ideal bag? And she said, well, I would like it to be like this and like that and functional and pretty and whatever, And she described something. And immediately on the spot, Dumas made a sketch. And he goes, how about this? Something like this? And she said, yeah, that would be really nice. And so then he went ahead and made the bag. And another fun fact is he made this sketch on an air sickness bag. Because, you don't
barf bag.
Yes. You don't have, paper lying around, I guess. So he drew it and he said, is this okay? And she goes, yeah, that'll be lovely. And then he said, well, by the way, I'm the CEO of MS. I'm Dumas. I'm going to make this bag in your name. Can I call it the Birkin bag? And she was, of course, very happy about it. So that's how it came about. So says the internet. But tell us about the word original.
If something is original, then I guess you could see it as the first of something. But the way I like to think of it is it's the opposite of a copy. So it's kind of like what everybody is copying. That's the original. It's not a copy. Right. It's the first one, or it's the one that everyone's trying to copy.
I think people sometimes these days say the OG or something.
Yeah.
Meaning the original?
It has the meaning. I think OG stands for original gangster or something like that. But that is a slang way of saying the original.
그래요. 원조다라는 뜻으로 요즘 이렇게 줄여서 말을 하기도 하는데 the original something이라고 하면은 원래의 최초의 원조 뭐뭐뭐라는 게 되겠죠. There are many small eateries out there that claim they are the original. Like the 원조 떡볶이집 or the 원조 순대집 or something, right?
I get confused by that all the time because Korea's got certain neighborhoods where they have, they have like a bunch of the same restaurant. Which one is it?
They're all good. Okay, 자, 그 다음에 something ever sold.
Yeah, whenever you're having ever, you're thinking of an extreme of something. So it's saying the most valuable handbag ever sold. So it's saying the extreme, the most, and, among handbags that have been sold, this is the most expensive ever.
So you have to have that explanation before ever sold. So the most expensive thing ever sold, the cheapest thing ever sold, whatever it is.
Yeah, it could be something involved, and then that's taking it, the ever is making it extreme on whatever it is.
그래요. ever가 들어가면은 지금까지 이 모든 것들 중에라는 의미가 들어가서요. This is the most beautiful phone I've ever seen. 이러면은 내가 본 폰 중에서 가장 아름다운 거야. You have the best voice I've ever heard. 이렇게 말하면은 내가 들은 목소리 중에서 최고의 목소리를 가졌어. 자, 여기서는요. This is the most valuable handbag ever sold at an auction. 경매에 붙여진 가방 중에서 최고가를 기록한 가방이 됐습니다. Would you be able to carry around a 8.6 million euro bag?
No.
I don't think it's for carrying around, right? It's just for storing
I would
in a
think
museum
so.
or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you could carry that around in the streets. I'm sure it's going to be in a safety deposit box somewhere, or like you said, maybe a museum.
Yeah, if it gets wet or scratched.
Oh, gosh.
My goodness.
I'm sure it's gone through the ringer already.
Yeah, I'm sure. 다시 한번 제가 읽어볼게요. The original 1985 black leather Birkin bag, created for singer Jane Birkin, has sold at auction for 8.6 million euros, becoming the most valuable handbag ever sold.